Breakfast is the most important meal of my day and I do not play around. 9 times out of 10, I will eat a savory breakfast because that's just what feels best. So I've got this butter bean and olive shakshuka, no words. This is actually a perfect weekend breakfast slash brunch recipe. I'm also going to be sharing these savory oats inspired by a conversation with my friend. She was telling me how she loves savory oats and I had never actually tried cooking oats savory, but once I tried, I got it. They are delicious. I'm also going to be sharing this roasted carrot hummus. I think just this time of year, a roasted carrot hummus is perfect, number one. And hummus is something that you can just keep on hand and it's just great, honestly, to add at any time of the day to a meal. But I'm going to show you how I like to enjoy it for breakfast. For all of my ebooks, you can head over to my website, go and check them out over there. Before we jump into the recipes, I want to give a big thank you to this week's sponsor, which is Element. Element are my go-to electrolytes to ensure that I stay hydrated. So healthy hydration isn't just about drinking water, it's about drinking water and electrolytes. Element has all of your electrolyte needs covered. It is a science-based ratio, meaning that it has 1000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. So to make sure that I'm replenishing all of the electrolytes lost through movement, exercise, sweating, I make sure that I take one of these Element sachets. When your electrolytes are dialed in and balanced, you will notice the difference. You'll have that feeling of like steady energy and you'll have improved cognitive function. There's a variety of flavors to choose from. There's watermelon, orange, citrus. If you prefer like unflavored, they also have that option too. The latest flavors which are perfect for this time of year are the chocolate medley, which features the chocolate mint, chocolate chai, and the chocolate raspberry. These new flavors can be served hot. It is officially cozy season. Element are offering you a free sample pack with any order that you place. The sample pack includes 8 flavors, so you'll be able to try a variety of the flavors, see which ones you prefer. So to place an order, head over to www.drinklmnt.com/Tish. That's www.drinkelement.com/Tish. Thank you once again to Element for sponsoring this week's video. Let's jump into these recipes. Let's do it. Let's go. This is my butter bean and olive shakshuka, a recipe loved by so many. I'm going to take a classic shakshuka and just add my own little spin, my own little twist on things by adding in some butter beans. Number one, because I just love butter beans, and number two, because it just keeps me fuller for longer. I find this just to be a more satiating way to prepare shakshuka. A classic shakshuka always has cumin, so of course we're going to be adding in some cumin. I'm using some cumin powder. I quite like to use smoked paprika, but if you have regular or you prefer regular paprika, that will also work as well. We're going to be adding in some chili flakes. We're going to be adding in some za'atar, which is one of my favorite spice herb blends. Za'atar that I'm using includes sesame seeds, it has sumac, it has cumin, more cumin, and oregano, along with a few other ingredients. Olives just give this recipe that salty, punchy kick, which just makes it fantastic. I actually love the combination. I adore the combination of butter beans and olives, so maybe that's why I've chosen to put olives in. Use any olives that you enjoy. I always like kalamata olives for this recipe and I can find them quite easy where I am in supermarkets. So we're going to need some plum tomatoes. I thought I had regular plum tomatoes, but I only had baby plum tomatoes, so I just made it work. We're going to need some good quality eggs, the freshest eggs that you can find, preferably ones where the yolks are vibrant and bright and healthy. We want some great tasting eggs for this recipe. It will make all the difference. So I'm throwing over some parsley. You could also throw over fresh coriander if you would like to. I just kind of wanted to stick to parsley today. That's how I was feeling. So yeah, lots and lots of fresh parsley to finish. Other ingredients include some garlic. We're going to be adding in, chopping up some onions, and we are going to need a red pepper as well. So you're going to see, we're going to transform all of this gorgeous ingredients into the most incredible breakfast. So we're going to start off by preparing all of our ingredients. So we're going to need to chop everything up. That includes chopping up the onion. We're going to dice it as finely as possible. We're also going to finely chop up our garlic, and then we're going to move on to the red pepper. So I grabbed my pan, I heated it on a medium heat. I drizzled in a little bit of olive oil, and then I threw in the onions and the garlic. I don't want to brown the onions. I just want to cook them gently until they soften. So you can add in some salt at this point. Once the onions and garlic have cooked down, you can then throw in the chopped red peppers. You can season with some more salt. You can throw in some black pepper and just continue cooking everything, mixing everything well. So after a few minutes, once our red peppers have cooked down, once they have softened, we're going to throw in all of our spices. So that includes the za'atar. We're going to throw in the cumin powder, the paprika. I used smoked paprika, and also the chili flakes. So combine everything well and throw in those plum tomatoes. Just make sure you break them down so everything can absorb all of the flavor, all of the wonderful spices that we're using. You can up the heat a little bit. I always know when it needs something extra. You know, you can just tell by eye when you're cooking. So I added in a little bit more za'atar. Once the sauce had reduced a bit, once it was well flavored, I added in a little bit of maple syrup. That was just my sweetener of choice. That is totally optional. Next step was to combine our butter beans. So I threw in those butter beans. I chopped up my olives. You can add them in whole, or you can chop them how I have. So I let it cook for a few minutes just to let those butter beans absorb all of that flavor. Believe me, my kitchen was smelling so good. If you don't do eggs, honestly, this as it is so delicious. So I did my best to make some room in the pan and I cracked my eggs. I used 3 eggs. If you're cooking for more, like if you're cooking for like 3 people, you definitely need to use a bigger pan. This pan suits me just fine. I seasoned my eggs with a little bit of salt before placing on the lid and placing the pan into a 180 degrees Celsius preheated oven. And I left my eggs in there, I'd say for like 6 to 7 minutes. If you don't like a runny yolk, you definitely want to leave it in there for like 9 to 10 minutes. But just keep an eye on your eggs because they will cook really, really quick. If you don't have an oven-proof pan, that is absolutely fine. You can cook your eggs on the hob. Make sure that you cover your pan so the eggs can cook properly and cook them for, again, the same time, maybe like 8 to 10 minutes or so. We're going to top this shakshuka with some fresh parsley. I put over some extra za'atar and I, of course, added on some black pepper. I even gave it a swirl of olive oil. This is such an incredible, well-balanced breakfast brunch idea. We have the combination of the butter beans packed with fiber. Pair that with those protein-packed eggs, which is going to give us that sustained energy that we need throughout the day. A shakshuka is not the most presentable dish once it's served, but when it tastes so good, who cares? So this is my version of a savory porridge. I am in disbelief that I've never tried using oats in a savory way before up until now. Let me tell you, this is life-changing. I often make up congee, which is a rice porridge, but oats are a great alternative, especially if you're short for time and still want something really warming and nourishing. So I'm using regular porridge oats for this recipe. You can use any style, type of oat that you want to use. I would recommend soaking the oats beforehand. So just soaking them overnight. It literally takes 5 seconds to put them to soak and it will make all the difference in how the oats cook in the morning. So to flavor this porridge up, we're going to be adding in some nutritional yeast. Trust me, it works. We want that cheesy flavor and it works so well with the spring onions that we're also going to be chopping up finely and adding in. So I love to mix a little bit of butter in to my oats, but if you are dairy free and you want to keep it out, it's fine. So to make these oats even more nourishing, if I have bone broth on hand, I love to use bone broth to cook them in. But this is completely optional. If you'd prefer to like use some veggie stock or veggie broth, that will work just as well. Or even if you just want to use water, the nutritional yeast, the spring onions, the butter is all going to give it flavor. So don't stress too much. So the combination of toppings that I really love include boiled eggs. I love like a jammy egg, like a 6-minute 45 egg. Some sesame seeds. I love also to top my porridge with some cooked tamari mushrooms, and I also love adding on a little bit of kimchi. But yeah, the toppings are completely optional. You can work them any way that you want to. So like I mentioned, I prefer to soak my oats overnight. So I took my soaked oats and I rinsed them. I then placed them into a saucepan and I poured over the bone broth, just heating everything on a low to medium heat. Whilst the oats were heating, I continued on by chopping up the spring onions. So I used the white part of the onion for the porridge itself and I set aside the green part. So I threw the spring onions in, just continuously mixing everything. Once the porridge had got a little bit thicker, I threw the butter in along with the nutritional yeast and just mixed everything once again. So simple, especially if the oats are soaked already. It will cook in minutes. So I set my cooked oats aside and I chopped up the mushrooms. So if you're using mushrooms to top the porridge, just go ahead, grab a pan and throw your mushrooms in. You can add a little bit of oil in. I added some olive oil and I just splashed them with tamari, keeping it very simple. So to serve, grab your piping hot oats and pour everything into a bowl. Oh my gosh, this is just a dream. Top with your favorite toppings. So mine are the mushrooms. I topped with some kimchi, a jammy egg, just how I like it. Some more spring onions. So I used the green part of the spring onions, some sesame seeds. And yeah, this was my savory porridge, ready to be enjoyed, ready to be eaten, ready to be devoured on this very cold morning in London. I know that most of us are probably used to like a really sweet porridge, but it's good to like change things up every now and then. Give your palate something new to enjoy, something new to adjust to. And a savory porridge just might keep you fuller for longer, especially if you're adding good quality protein like eggs. It might just be a little switch up, maybe something a bit different for you to try. I would definitely recommend giving this one a go. So this is my roasted carrot hummus, a great breakfast addition. I like adding it to like a breakfast bowl. I have some scrambles, some smoked salmon, some halloumi, kimchi. You're going to see how I work it. This is one of my favorite hummus recipes ever, and there is no doubt that you are going to love this one as well. So we're going to pack this roasted carrot hummus with lots of like medicinal spices. So I'm going to be using some cayenne, some turmeric, and some cinnamon, all powerhouses, especially this time of the year. These spices just add a depth of flavor to the hummus. When we roast the carrots, we're going to add some cumin seeds. Of course, we're going to be using lots of carrots. I would say make sure you have a tasty carrot. It will make all the difference. A tasty carrot will equal a tasty roasted carrot hummus. Makes sense. So all of the hummus basics, that includes some cooked chickpeas. You can use tin chickpeas, jarred chickpeas, home cooked chickpeas, whatever chickpeas you're using, we're going to be needing some tahini. I prefer to use a light tahini. I always say that I just prefer the flavor, but that's just my preference. We're going to need some extra virgin olive oil along with lots of lemon juice, and we are going to roast some garlic up as well, because that is just going to add that extra kick that we want. So start off by preparing your carrots. It's completely optional. If you want to peel them like I did, go ahead and do that. And then just continue on by chopping them into pieces, just kind of like chunky pieces. They can just be roughly chopped. Place them on a baking tray and then season up with some salt. Add on your cumin seeds and a good drizzle of olive oil, just making sure that the carrots are well coated. So grab your garlic bulb and just chop off the top, place it in, I like to place it in a little bit of parchment paper, then a bit of foil, but if you've just got foil, that is fine. You can drizzle it with a little bit of olive oil, place it on the tray with the carrots, place the tray of carrots along with the garlic bulb into a preheated oven of about 200 degrees Celsius. So you're going to leave the carrots in, I'd say, for about 30 minutes. And you might want to leave your garlic bulb in for a little bit longer, just depending on the size. You just want to make sure that it's like properly softened, caramelized, and delicious. So into a food processor or a food blender, depending on what you have, place in your chickpeas, your roasted carrots, your tahini, all of your spices, so the cayenne, the turmeric, the cinnamon, some lemon juice, some olive oil, salt, and that roasted garlic. I didn't add any extra water to blend mine down. What I did is added a few ice cubes in. This will just kind of give it that smooth, silky feel. So blitz your hummus until you reach your desired consistency. It's always going to be a lot smoother if you use a food processor, something like a Vitamix. But I was using my food processor today, and this consistency suits me just fine. The combination of the roasted carrots, and then once those cumin seeds have kind of toasted, you can really taste that in the hummus, plus all of those spices, that roasted garlic. This hummus is incredible. You might want to serve it kind of like sharing style. If you want to go ahead and add it to your breakfast like I did, this is like my dream breakfast bowl. I love something like this. This gets me going in the morning. It gives me that kickstart that I need. This was a bowl with scrambled eggs, smoked salmon, rocket, broccoli sprouts, halloumi, kimchi. We did it all. A little bit of lemon for the salmon, and of course topped with that roasted carrot hummus. Let me know which savory breakfast idea you will be trying out, which one is calling your name. I would love to hear from you in the comments. Head over to my website to check out all of my ebooks. I will see you all in my next video. Everyone take care. See you. Bye.